Chris Opfer from Bloomberg Law here at the Littler Executive Employer Conference. I'm joined at the news desk with a pair of Littler shareholders, Michelle Falconer and Pam Salgado. Michelle and Pam are here today to talk about paid sick leave and what's going on in some of the cities and states across the country. So my understanding is that part of this is because Congress hasn't really done anything in this space of late, and so some cities and states feel like they need to move to fill the gap. Can you tell me a little bit about how that's working out in practice?
Well, we thought this was going to be a slow movement, and it's kind of turned into an avalanche. And I think what we're seeing is, first, a lot of states were looking at paid sick leave, and then local ordinances started to pop up because states weren't moving as fast. But just as recently as yesterday, New Jersey signed a law to preempt its 13 local ordinances. So it's clearly gaining steam across the country.
Are there some trends that you're seeing, Pam, in terms of a defined amount of time that employers have to give their workers for paid sick leave?
Yeah, so we had seen some trends with regard to the amount of time where it was a 40-hour give, but actually the trend that we've seen now is, as the new ones have come on board, is to give a lot more than that, or to give variable time. So for instance, Washington State came on board, and they're at the same accrual, or at a lower accrual rate than most others, 1 for 40 instead of 1 for 30, but there's no cap on accrual, and the carryover is set at 40. So we're seeing larger banks, and really inconsistent treatment is what we're seeing as they're coming on board, which makes it difficult for employers on a nationwide basis.
Yeah, certainly difficult for the larger employers who are operating across the country. What comes to my mind is, I wonder if some are in a situation where they say, you know what, at the end of the day, it's easier for us to just find out what's the most stringent standard across the country. We're going to give everyone that, and we're going to forget about the compliance headache otherwise. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Well, it's a great idea if you can make it work. But Pam and I call that the holy grail, which is it's very difficult to actually find a solution that will work company-wide, nationwide, because the laws are so nuanced and so different that you really have a difficult time unless you want to be extremely generous.
That's right. And it depends on what you want to provide. Are you giving PTO, which has a whole nother look to it? Are you just giving sick leave? So it really is an individualized inquiry about how does this nationwide policy look? And a lot of times, even when you have nationwide, you do have to have a carve out here or there for some of those real tough jurisdictions.
So we're always interested in what's going on with Congress, and the answer is usually not much these days in terms of actually moving legislation. But there was a bill in the House that got some attention, backed by some industry groups on the business side, which, as I understand it, would essentially, if you meet certain requirements for paid leave and flexible work arrangements, you then get a shield from state and local laws. What do you guys make of that as an option for employers if that were to move in Congress?
Yeah, so there is a lot. It's still pending. We don't know what's going to happen to it, and it would actually allow ERISA preemption to apply to preempt state and local laws. However, it is you have to meet rather rich standard to be able to apply that. So you have to give 15 to 20 days a year. You also have to provide another kind of flexible workplace option, working from home, shorter, longer days, splitting shifts. So it may not be a solution for everyone if it in fact gets passed. It's out there, and it does have support, and we'll have to wait and see, but it's going to be quite a long way off if it happens.
And so the calculation that you have to do there is then figure out what states are you operating in, how many different requirements are you working with, and does it make sense to maybe step up the requirements in some state, across the board, so that you can get this preemption? Is
That's essentially what will have to happen. And of course, most of us hear ERISA, and we sort of cringe because we know that there are a lot of hurdles to get past when you're dealing with ERISA. So I think it's going to be a lot more complicated. I think that it's not quite what employers were hoping for. And of course, as things move through Congress, things change. So we'll have to see if the end product is something that the employer community will welcome.
Got it. Well, we'll be keeping an eye out for that, and I appreciate you guys joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.